Is just a small favor. After hanging up the phone, the president's office of Shengtang Group returned to silence. How could such a lively child get this disease? If he hadn't heard last night that Sheng Anran was reluctant to let Sheng Xiaoxing go to Blue Castle, he wouldn't have thought of checking why she was so anxious to find a kindergarten. I originally thought that she was demanding, but I didn't expect that it was because of Sheng Xiaoxing's condition. Yu Nancheng looked at the medical record in front of him and thought of Sheng Xiaoxing's cute and lively face. He could not connect her with a disease like asthma. Just as I was thinking about it, there was a knock on the door. Come in. Gao Yawen opened the door and came in. Nancheng! Why are you here at this time? Yu Nancheng glanced at her indifferently. Gao Yawen pursed her lips, looking a little shy. Aren't you going back to the old house to talk to Grandpa about your marriage? I'll go with you. I'm a little nervo. Do you think this outfit is suitable for me? Will Grandpa like it? Yu Nancheng didn't even look at it. Whatever. Nancheng. Gao Yawen walked closer, feeling a little dissatisfied. This is a child's case? Just as she was about to lose her temper, she caught a glimpse of a medical copy on the table and clearly saw the 3 words, Sheng Xiaoxing. Who is Sheng Xiaoxing? Gao Yawen blurted out. Yu Nancheng glanced at her and said indifferently, the daughter of a group employee. Why are you still looking at the medical records of the daughter of a group employee? Which employee? Hearing this, Yu Nancheng closed the document in his hand, covered the case with it, and asked in a tone that was somewhat inviolable. Do I need to tell you everything about me? Gao Yawen's expression froze. No, that's not what I meant. I was just asking casually. You ask too many questions. Yu Nancheng was already quite impatient. You go back to the old house first. I'll go there directly after I finish the business I have. Got it, Nancheng? I'll leave first. This is an order to expel you. Gao Yawen immediately regretted asking too many questions without thinking. She wanted to make amends, but seeing that Yu Nancheng looked very impatient, she had to find an excuse and left the office. But before leaving, she somehow repeated the name Sheng Xiaoxing in her mind. Nancheng took the initiative to arrange a kindergarten for you? In the living room of the Yu family's old house, the old man held the phone, full of energy. You took the initiative to help so quickly, and it seems to have worked well. The voice on the other end of the phone was very childish. Thanks to you, Grandpa, for telling me where Uncle Yu is. Otherwise, I would have no way of creating an encounter for them. This is also because your mother is excellent. There are not many women who can make this kid Nancheng pay attention to her. So, Grandpa, what you mean is that there is hope for my mom. Not only is there hope, it is extremely hopeful. The lively and cheerful voice on the other end of the phone made the old man's brows relax, and there was still a smile on his face for a long time. The two were chatting happily when the butler came in and reminded them. Sir, the young master and Miss Gao are here. Okay, Nancheng is back. It's a good time for me to ask him what he thinks. Let's get in touch again, Xing Xing. Okay, bye, Grandpa. Why didn't you bring Jingxi with you when you came back? At the dinner table, the old man asked about Yu Jingxi. Thinking of Yu Jingxi's noisy appearance at home, Yu Nancheng frowned slightly. He has been in a bad mood recently, so I won't bring him here to bother you. The old man glanced at him and said in an unhappy tone, If you don't find a mother to take care of Jingxi as soon as possible, how can he be healthy if he stays with a bunch of servants every day? Speaking of this, Yu Nancheng put down his chopsticks. I've thought about this, and you're right, so I plan to get married. You are getting married? Before the old man had time to be happy, he heard Yu Nancheng say again, Yes, so I brought Yawen back to tell you. What? The old man's face changed immediately. Do you want to marry her? The old man's face was very gloomy. Where's Jingxi? Did Jingxi agree? Yu Nancheng didn't understand what was going on, so he frowned and said, The main consideration in this matter is Jingxi's thoughts. Yu Nancheng looked determined. Impossible! The old man was so angry that he breathed out through his nose. The old man glanced at her, snorted indifferently, and looked at the butler beside him. Laozhou, go there yourself and pick up Zhuxi. Unless Zhuxi tells me personally that he agrees to this, I will never agree. Yunancheng looked a little surprised. He originally thought that his grandfather would be happy when he proposed marriage, but why did he react like this? Gao Yawen was so angry that her face turned blue, but she didn't dare to show it. She suppressed her displeasure. The old house was not far from where Yunancheng lived. The round trip took less than half an hour for the housekeeper to pick up Yu Jingxi. Sir, the young master has been brought back. As soon as he entered the room and saw Gao Yawen, Yu Jingxi stepped back, a little scared, and lowered his head to avoid Gao Yawen's deadly gaze. The old man waved at Yu Jingxi and said in a friendly manner, Jingxi, come here, come to Grandpa Zheng. I heard from Dad that you want a mother. Yu Jingxi shook his head, caught a glimpse of Gao Yawen from the corner of his eye, shuddered, and nodded again. As she spoke, Gao Yawen clapped her hands towards Yu Jingxi and smiled gently. Come, Jingxi, come to your aunt. Yu Jingxi held on tightly to the butler's leg, his eyes filled with fear and helplessness. Many messy fragments flashed through his mind, all about the bad woman in front of him. Only then did Yu Jingxi run over. Yunancheng saw this and was also a little surprised. Yu Jingxi subconsciously shrank behind the old man. The old man saw all of this and looked at Gao Yawen coldly. Children are like this. How you communicate with them is how they treat you. Gao Yawen's smile was a little stiff, and she said awkwardly, Yes, Grandpa taught me a lesson. I will treat Jingxi better in the future. The old man looked indifferent and non-committal. He looked at Yunancheng and said, You are already 30 years old. Since you haven't been married before, there is no need to rush now. Getting married still requires careful consideration of all aspects. Let's talk about this later. This statement clearly shows an attitude of disagreement. What else can I say? The dinner ended unpleasantly. Gao Yawen was so angry that her nails dug into her palms, but Yunancheng didn't seem to react at all. Damn, old man. It's clear that he doesn't agree. I've been trying to please him all these years, but it's all in vain. Just wait and see. I'm going to get married. I thought the old man had something to say, but he suddenly received a phone call. I have something else to do. Please do as you please. You walk slowly. He waved his hand and asked the servants to clean up the room, then locked the study. Nancheng, Grandpa doesn't seem very happy with me. Don't worry about that. Just prepare yourself and take good care of Jingxi. That night, Yunancheng and his son stayed at the old house. Jingxi, Auntie is leaving today. Please be good at home. It seems that Nancheng hasn't changed his mind yet. As long as I can keep him calm, the old man's opinion doesn't matter at all. Yunancheng is a person who is used to doing things his own way. As for the old man's words, he is respectful on the surface, but what he does in private is his own business. So in terms of marriage, she only needs to ensure that Yunancheng does not waver. Grandpa is very busy recently. Whose call should he answer? The butler looked calm and said slowly, Mister has been in contact with his friend a lot recently, but I am not sure about the details. Friend? Yunancheng glanced at the housekeeper suspiciously. As a result, the call lasted until midnight. Yunancheng read a whole English book to Yu Jingxi. Finally, Yu Jingxi fell asleep. He was also yawning. When he saw that it was 11 o'clock, he didn't wait any longer and went to bed directly. Sheng Anran got up in the middle of the night to drink water. Standing in the living room, she saw that the light in Sheng Xiaoxing's room was still on. She frowned and walked over. Xing Xing's voice came from the room. You didn't even tell me about this person. If you had told me earlier, I wouldn't have let Mommy go. It's so troublesome. Sheng Anran opened the door directly. Sheng Anran frowned and asked, Xing Xing, why aren't you sleeping yet? It's so late. Sheng Xiaoxing hung up the phone in a hurry, turned back with a look of horror, and rolled her eyes. I'm on the phone with my godmother. Really? I just happened to have something to talk to her about, so let me talk to her. Sheng Xiaoxing hid the phone behind her back. She's hung up. Godmother said she's asleep. Sheng Anran was a little disappointed, but she didn't doubt anything anymore. Then you should go to bed early too. It's already so late. Children won't grow tall if they don't sleep. Sheng Xiaoxing nodded, but her brows were knitted together, looking worried. But Mommy, I just heard some bad news. Sheng Anran's face tightened. Your godmother got into trouble with a client again? Although Tan Shujing's name sounds gentle, she is not quiet at all. She has a hot temper and is quite skilled in martial arts. It is common for her to get into fights with clients with whom she has a bad temper. She was a little nervous at the moment. It's not my godmother's business. It's your business, Mommy. Me? What's wrong with me? Sheng Anran pointed at her nose. Sheng Xiaoxing nodded and sighed with a sad face. Mom, your new partner should be gone soon. I heard Uncle Yu is getting married. You even know this? Hearing this, Sheng Anran was slightly stunned. The news that Yu Nancheng was going to marry Gao Yawen had recently spread throughout the group and everyone knew about it. It was said to be very convincing. In addition, it was heard that Gao Yawen had been frequently visiting the group headquarters recently and had no intention of shying away from gossip. Yu Nancheng had no intention of coming out to explain, so everyone just accepted it. But what does Yu Nancheng's marriage have to do with me? Uncle Yu is handsome and rich. If Mommy marries him, she will definitely be able to live a luxurious life. What a pity. If you don't hurry up, he will get married soon. Sheng Anran finally understood a little bit. It turned out that this girl had not given up on helping her find a husband. At that moment, she poked her forehead with a smile and said, What are you thinking about all day long? Stop thinking about it and go to sleep. Sheng Xiaoxing quietly climbed back into bed to sleep, secretly feeling sad that such a good opportunity was lost. Mommy, don't you really want to think about it? Go to sleep. Sheng Anran just shook her head with a helpless look on her face. Yu Nancheng chose this day to send Yu Jingxi to school. Nancheng, isn't it good for Jingxi to have a tutor at home? Why did you suddenly think of sending him to kindergarten? Gao Yawen asked casually. Ever since Yu Nancheng mentioned the marriage to her, she became more and more attentive. She ran very diligently between Yu Nancheng's home and Shengtang Group. Especially when she heard that Yu Jingxi was going to school today, she ran to his house early in the morning to accompany him, looking very caring. More contact with people will help him recover. If Yu Jingxi hadn't insisted on coming to school, he actually had no intention of sending him here. There are many people in the school, and where there are many people, there are many things to do, and he might not be able to take care of everything by then. If Jingxi likes to be with people, then we can give him some brothers and sisters, so he will have company, right? As soon as these words were spoken, Yu Jingxi's face turned pale. No, the children born by bad women will definitely be bad too. Yu Nancheng frowned. I don't have such plans for now. Having Jingxi at home is enough. As soon as these words were spoken, Yu Jingxi's face became as bright as a tomato. Gao Yawen's face turned pale and then blue after hearing these words. What do you mean? You don't plan to have children if you marry me? Are you asking me to be a babysitter for that brat for the rest of my life? The atmosphere was a little tense, but fortunately the school was not far away, and we had arrived there now. Yu Nancheng took Yu Jingxi's hand and walked towards the school gate. After taking just 2 steps, Yu Jingxi suddenly shook off his hand and ran towards a figure. Jingxi, where are you going? Jingxi? Sheng Anran was talking to Nuoya, the assistant who came to pick her and Sheng Xiaoxing up, when her calves suddenly tightened. Sheng Anran squatted down quickly. Jingxi, are you studying here too? She looked down and saw a pretty face. Yu Jingxi hugged her legs and smiled at her with a happy expression on his face. Sheng Xiaoxing, who was standing by, was very excited when he saw Yu Jingxi and said, So you are here too. I have a companion now. I will protect you from now on. Yu Nancheng and Gao Yawen walked over side by side. Seeing that Yu Jingxi and Sheng Anran were very close to each other, Gao Yawen stared at Sheng Anran's profile for a long time and felt that she looked very familiar. The brat is so close to this woman, she looks a little familiar. Sheng Anran saw Gao Yawen and stood up quickly. Mr. Yu, Miss Gao, hello. Mr. Yu, an employee of Shengtang? Gao Yawen frowned. Her eyes fell on Sheng Xiaoxing. When she saw her pink little face, her eyelids twitched for some reason. Why did she feel that this girl looked a bit like Yu Nancheng? Impossible, a voice in her heart reminded herself. Gao Yawen was slightly stunned and suddenly remembered something and asked, Your last name is Sheng? Is this your daughter? What's her name? Sheng Anran didn't notice anything wrong with what she said and nodded, somewhat happy. My name is Sheng Xiaoxing. You can call me Xing Xing. Sheng Xiaoxing suddenly interrupted and looked up at Gao Yawen as if to assess her. Sheng Xiaoxing, the child in the case, why is Nancheng paying attention to her? They look a bit similar. What am I thinking? It's impossible. When Gao Yawen heard this name, she clenched her hands, thinking of the medical records she saw in Yu Nancheng's office that day. This auntie is weird. Sheng Xiaoxing looked at Gao Yawen in confusion. She became more suspicious and asked directly, "Let me ask you, why do you take your mother's last name?" Sheng Xiaoxing looked confused and turned to look at her mother. If Sheng Anran hadn't noticed anything when asked before, it would be normal. But when asked here, it touched on personal privacy issues. If she didn't notice it, she would be a fool. She immediately pulled Sheng Xiaoxing behind her and her tone became a little deeper. Xing Xing grew up abroad and doesn't know much about surnames. If Miss Gao wants to know something, you might as well ask me directly. Gao Yawen was slightly startled, and then she saw Yu Jingxi hiding behind Sheng Anran in an intimate manner, and she became even more displeased, and her tone became a little harsh. Then I asked directly, "Actually, I am curious. Not every child can come to Blue Castle. Miss Sheng's husband must be very powerful." Sheng Anran looked embarrassed. She thought she had not provoked Gao Yawen, but she was aggressive. And just one sentence hit her soft spot. She really did not have the ability to send Sheng Xiaoxing here, and she was speechless.